I'm on your mind. Tell me I'm on your mind. Please cut me down to size. We could save so much space and time. If anything's left between you and I, you better tell me I'm on your mind. Tell me I'm on your mind. Tell me I'm on your mind. Before you'll admit you are wrong, we'll all be dead and gone. There's no way you'll survive all alone. You better tell me I'm on your mind. 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 Don't think it comes easy to me. Tell me I'm on your mind. 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 Think how beautiful this could be. In my corner of the world, we all look the same. We flip off the strangers trying to fit in our lane. Fancy locks on our houses and trendy tattoos to say you're different than me, I'm different than you. Hanging ghosts in our closets, the past lives we knew. Traded one just last week for high-waisted jeans. And I hope that you notice they hug me just right. Try anything to hoard the spotlight. I wanna play rock and roll, maybe build the highest tower. Ignore when I'm told that's just for men to devour. Before I settle in the cycle of finding someone, line my ducks in a row before the eggs start to go. Now I'm caught up in the moment, tied up in the dream, tangled through believing I can be anything. Time will come like a rocket, suck me and spit me out. One day I'll wake up in another body somehow and say, wait, was I good enough? Did you think I was good enough? your corner of the world, people file into pews, taking Sunday's best, wallet in hand. No one will question the value of the room, the figure in glass offering eternal youth. Overcome with emotion, trade shame and for proof. How can I turn down shedding old for the new? Is it something to believe in? Do I need something to? Is there a difference in me? A difference in you? Is it something to believe in? Something to believe in? Speck of dust in the universe, drop of rain in a cloud, speck of dust in the universe, drop of rain in a cloud, speck of dust in the universe, drop of rain in a cloud. We're all dust in the I don't belong in an apple tree. You're taught to assume I must be red or green. I find myself bearing a rainbow. Tomorrow I'm turquoise. Today I'm melon. Learning my lessons while flying a kite. Caught on a bluebird as it passes us by. I start to notice our different paths of light. There's plenty of space in and out of the sky. I don't have to follow suit. Why do you need me to be like you? I choose to bleed only from what I've seen. If you take it from me, there's more than red or green. They say, why don't you play in our hot nightclubs? People taking their clothes off, redefining fun. They'll never despise you, they might recognize you. Just keep 'em moving, they'll consume whatever we tell them to. I still say, I don't like myself in those clubs. I can relate to people without having to take your drugs. I suppose it can be nice sometimes, but it's night after night, losing another minute in life. Influence change is current every day, and I wanna make something that stays in your mind and then turns on your light. A life to align with the value of time. Here's a chance to forever carry on. If 50 years later someone sings this song, then it's bigger than you, bigger than me, and no one will remember I'm wearing the black dress that keeps me honest, wading through the deep end in a well-worn promise, consensual obligation on a one-way street, built-in washer dryer, spin cycle repeat. The more you know, the harder you fall into little pieces, baby. The more you know, the more you know. Don't tell me again if it's so easy. Tie up our loose ends if it's so easy. Well, let's still be friends if it's so easy. No sense in relocating. We can repaint ourselves. Tell everybody we are somebody else. Lipstick on your pillow where I now lay my head. When these walls start talking, I see the common thread. The more you know, the lower you crawl, back to the reason you're leaving. The more you know, the more you know. Lately I'm seeing a trend if it's easy. Why is it always talking again if it's so easy? Why the diabolical plan if it's so easy? The way a broken heart mends if it's so easy. Yeah. Well, we're gonna be friends 'cause it's so easy.
And that's how we get started, everybody. Hello, I'm Jeff Plankenhorn. This is 20 Question Tuesdays, and that is the super talented and awesomeness sauce that is Jane Ellen Bryant, who will be my guest today. Boom, there's technology for you. Super exciting. Those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, this is 20 Question Tuesdays, basically long story shorts, which is really hard for me. I turned on my camera one time early on in the lockdown. I think it was like May. It was May 2020. And I started taking questions on a Tuesday afternoon, turned into a workshop. All sorts of people started coming on because they saw that I was live. Shredder guitar players and songwriters and producers and managers and all started people. I started doing it every week, and it was just became this super fun thing, way for me to stay connected. And boy, did it keep me happy during the lockdown. Now I've kept it going, but next month we are going to move this platform over to my Patreon page. So we'll only have one more show. Next week we're going to have Lisa Morales, and then the week after that I'm going to go old school and just do it with me. And then next month we're going to be doing it from my Patreon page. So you are going to have to sign up for my Patreon long term if you want to see these shows in the future. But for right now, we're going to do it right here, and it's just so awesome. Somebody needs more volume? Well, I'll give you some more volume. Thanks for mentioning it. Hopefully that's enough. Uh, Early on when I started doing it, I got this thing. Sheila Steele asked if I would put this on Austin cable television, on Austin Music TV. And I said, sure. And I got this app where I could go out to multiple platforms. And I saw this little button with a person. I'm pointing at it right now. And I was like, oh, I can invite guests. That'll be infinitely more interesting. And I think my first guest was maybe Michael O'Connor, and then I had like Jamie Harris, and then I had like Scrappy Judd, and then I had Ruthie Foster, and then I had Ray Wiley, and then I had Bill Kirchen, and I just started calling people like who I was missing and who just cool people I just wanted to talk to. And now it's become this beautiful, beautiful thing because I'm branching out and getting not just Austin people, but people from here on Vancouver Island where I'm at, and people from Nashville, and people from all over the place. It's been really, really cool. And it's a lot more interesting than just me talking every week. So that works. Um, let's see. I split tips every week with my guests just so I could try and make sure that my guest gets, I don't know, a tank of gas or a nice takeout meal or something. It's tough for musicians right now. Tougher than it's been in a long time, even though we are finally getting back to some gigging in safe fashion. And we'll talk about that a little bit with Jane in just a minute. So I just want to put that out there. I put the Patreon up. Oh, if you want to hear any of my music, you go to plank.herenow.com. That's where everything, the Bandcamps, the Spotify's, the YouTubes. I'm getting old, so I'm pluralizing everything. Like you got to go to the targets. It's just a new thing that I'm working out. It's kind of feels good. I feel like I've earned it, like I earned my gray. And then everything else, my merch and my people and my management and my booking and all that stuff you can find at the website here. And I can't think of anything else that's really going on. Oh, I started a TikTok. I can't believe that I got over 1,000 followers on TikTok really, really quickly. I don't know. I'm doing live stuff on there. So if you're into that kind of thing, I never thought I would be, but it's actually pretty cool. Please follow me over there. It's the __ plank. Whatever. It's easy to remember. And all the other stuff you can find on my website as well. That's probably all the housekeeping that I want to do, and I want to get directly into my friend Jane. So without further ado, Jane Ellen Bryant, everybody.
Hello.
You sound lovely.
Oh, well, thank you. I like your
What's going
idea
on?
of saying everything in plural. That's
Do
pretty
you?
fun. Yeah.
I don't have to be. I mean, it is kind of like an old guy thing. I think it's like, oh, I just go over to the Targets,
I've been
and
doing that card too, though. Like I say, sometimes I say Wi-Fi's, even though it's ridiculous.
yeah,
Turn on the
yeah, it is.
Wi-Fi's.
Yeah, or even I even go so far as to say Wiffies sometimes.
Oh, okay.
They're I don't know. So I guess we're both in the camp of we like to change things from what they really are and
Yes.
make them more silly. That works for me. Um, Jane, first and foremost, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here.
Right on. Uh, how have you been? Well, you know what? Let's just jump into the fun questions because I love these people's questions already. And we have friends of the show and we have new people here. And I love to ask my questions, but I only ask my one question at the end. So I'm going to stick with theirs for now.
Okay.
Um, I have the one person, friend of the show, Larry King, has this great question. And normally I put it in the middle of the show, but I like this question a lot. Like it's one of my favorite questions. And so we're going to start with it because it's an interesting question. It usually makes people think. But, oh, Jane is louder than Jeff. Well, I'll turn up some more. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you all being sound people for us. Because why not? It helps. Here, I'll move this guy a little closer too. Um, Larry's question. I love this question so much. What's the first thing you play when you sit down, like with a guitar?
Hmm.
And it could be like if you're sitting down just because, like, oh, I just want to tune up my guitar. I have that one thing I play. Or you go to a store and you're like, oh, I want to try out a new guitar. Like, what do I play? And like, I'm always totally interested in what people say to this question because so funny. Violet last week said, well, I have this blues thing that I don't play very well, but it's just my thing. I always play it every time. It's like, even though I suck at it, I play it every time I pick up a guitar. And then like Floyd Domino, the pianist, said there's two songs that I play, and one was like an Aretha Franklin song, and one was another, and that's because every time he goes someplace, he's sitting at a different piano. So I
Mm.
find the question super, super interesting. Do
Yeah.
you have something that you like to play when you sit down a guitar?
I feel like it's kind of a lame answer, but I always play like any of my go-to originals that like if it feels I'm so familiar with those that if it feels like good on that guitar then I'm like okay I can play this like I know so well how these songs feel in my hands that if it's a new guitar and I'm testing out how it feels for me those would be my like emergency scenario, make sure I can play these. And then another one that like the first song I ever learned on the guitar was Blackbird, which is like so classic. Um,
Nothing
and
wrong with that.
yeah, and I teach it to students all the time too, because it just gives you a great feel of the neck all the way up and down. So that's another one that if I were like guitar shopping or about to, borrow a guitar for a gig or something, I would play like bits and pieces of my songs to make sure I understood how it felt, and then I'd probably play Blackbird.
See, I love Blackbird too because you're right. Because in the first 3 seconds of the song, you've gone from like your open positions down here, not to get too nerdy,
Yeah,
all the way up here. And it's like,
exactly.
well, you can tell that the guitar is intonated well,
Yep,
that it stays in tune when it's up the neck for those of us who aren't guitar nerds. By the time you get to like the third second of the song, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, this is a good guitar.
totally.
That's
And
a
then you're just
really good
working
one.
your way up the neck the whole time, and back and forth.
Yeah,
So it
that's
gives
a
you a good lay
super
of the
good
land.
one.
Oh, good.
Now,
Okay.
I'm a figure. Well, I mean, there's nothing. What do I know? I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm fairly familiar with your music over the years because we've been friends for a long time.
Mhm.
What's one of those originals that's like, oh yeah, this one. If I can play that on there,
Hmm. Probably All in My Head or
okay,
um Too Smooth maybe
yeah.
are like some of my more go-tos. But it's changed over the years, like right when you met me, it was whatever the songs were in the scope of things at that time. And
That's what's going on in your head at that time, right?
yeah, it's like whatever my standards of that era are, and that changes every 2 to 3 years of like what my go-tos are. And so actually now I would say my go-tos are more songs like one of the ones that you played the recording of that I haven't released, Red or Green, that has like a
Well, I loved that, by the
oh,
way.
thank you. That has like a riff that, I definitely would want to check out and see how it feels in a guitar scenario. So, um, yeah, it's just kind of whatever my go-tos, or maybe if I have a cover or something that I'm working on, like I was working on a Joan Baez cover and a Paul McCartney cover within the
Cool.
last like year or so. So like Diamonds and Rust is another great one. If I could play that on this, then I probably like this guitar.
I can't wait to hear you cover a Joan Baez tune.
Oh yeah, I
That's like awesome.
thank you.
I'm excited to hear that. I'm excited because I know you'll make it your own. Will you also a lot of guitar players who are songwriters are I'm an acoustic player, and a lot of guitar players who are shredders are I'm an electric player. But you definitely play a fair amount of both.
Yeah,
Mostly with your live stuff now, though, it's mostly electric, right?
it's
When
mostly
you're band,
yeah. Well, and honestly, I haven't played a Jane Ellen Bryant band show in its full form since December
COVID.
2019.
Well, that's going to change. I
Yeah.
don't care if that's going to change probably like by the end of the show. We're going to get you booked because we were talking before the show. I'm serious, like honestly, or somebody who's watching the retaping of this or watching this later. Like we were talking about how we kind of have to put it out there that we're open and
Yeah.
that we're ready and that there are ways to do it safely, right? And like, because the first time I came back to Austin, in August to do some gigs. I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot, yada yada yada. And I felt like my first couple shows, like everybody was masked up. You had to show a vaccination card. No, everybody was cool about it. And it was like no problem for anybody to do that. And they were spaced out. And when I was at the merch table, I was masked up. And I felt like, well, at least people are really, really trying. Right.
Mhm.
And then by the end of the tour, I was playing someplace and like it was really really crazy because there were like no masks and nobody gave a shit. I can say shit because we're on public access,
Okay.
so and you can too. Of course you can do anything you want but we don't have to bleep it. And it made me feel really really uncomfortable about an October November tour I was going to do with my buddy Michael O'Connor because he had gotten COVID.
Mm.
And he was like, COVID's aged me 5 years. He's
Oh,
like, there's no doubt about it. I have definite side effects and I can't get COVID again because he's like, I don't want to feel like I'm 70,
mhm.
when I'm not.
Right.
And so we canceled.
Mm.
So I came back for my dear friend Yogi's funeral because I had to.
Yeah.
And I got talked into doing a couple of gigs and I felt like, okay, this is okay. And then Carolyn Wonderland her people asked me to open up a couple shows. So I flew down another week. I got to tell you, there's still lots of crazy people out there not being smart, but there's a lot of people who are doing it right and figuring out how to do it safely.
Mhm.
And the point of my rambling right now is that I want everybody to know Jane's open for business. And if you want to not only okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about your project, janeleo.com,
Mhm.
okay, which is like the big thing that you're working on right now.
Yeah.
But as far as booking, I'm just going to put this out there right there because I know that all the corporate gigs and stuff like that kind of fell through, and that was a big thing. And you, like a lot of us, have done creative things to keep working, you
Yeah,
know, and we want to play,
we do.
and we need people to know that we play. We play house concerts and we play corporate gigs, and we can get the band. Your band is ready to go,
Yeah,
right?
well, we haven't played well, yes, we can be ready to
Yes
go.
and no. You can be.
Yeah, we can be ready to go, and we're excited for that. But but my Jane Leo project, we have a full band for that, and we have actually been playing. In this last month, we've had 3 or 4 full band shows, and
Oh, that's good.
it's been so fun. I'm having like the most fun I've ever had on stage in that project, and
I love hearing that.
yeah, and I'm actually playing keys, and then for some songs I'm kind of barely playing keys, and so I get to run around and be a wild woman and like let out this like inner self that's never really been able to be expressed as I'm standing, by myself on stage with a guitar. Like that those are just two different beasts. Like I love both of them. And so it's really worked out well that I've kind of split myself in two of like I get to do my singer-songwriter self, and then I get to do this like wild rock and roll queen self and do them both to their full extent, where it was hard to do that all trying to do all of that through one avenue. So for both bands, I'm open for business and grateful for the business. And yeah, just, there's nothing like getting a day job that makes you realize how awesome it is to do what you love and to get paid for it and to do what you're best at and have worked, I've spent my whole life working at music. So it's really wonderful when you can be rewarded for it, all your hard work and dedication to it. So,
As you should be. And I cannot wait because I've been really digging the Jane Leo stuff every time. I'm, not in a stalker fashion, but definitely follow the socials and all that kind of stuff.
mhm.
So I'm there
Yeah.
watching what you do from afar. Um, and hearing you say it's like the most fun thing, like you just feel so great about doing it. That should get people excited because if you're that excited about it, then it must be like I think that in Austin, um, one of the things that's a little different than any other place I've ever lived, and why I chose to put roots down there for so long, for like 20 years, that's how old I am, is that you don't get pigeonholed and you are available to do multiple things.
Mhm.
And pretty much everybody I knew who was successful in any way did have multiple projects and didn't just go do one thing, and everything they did influenced something else. So
Yeah.
I love hearing that your solo stuff is this way and it's kind of a thing, and then you get to like experience this other thing with Jane Leo.
Yeah. It's like I said, it just kind of allows me to do things that I wasn't able to do fully under one path. And also this is a tough, lonely career, when it's just you running the ship, and you know that better than anybody. And it's really,
Mhm.
really nice to have a partner that like is pushing me in my songwriting, pushing me in my performance, and I'm pushing him and all those things as well. And like we're playing this game with each other, and that's you know that's been really beneficial, and I think has helped me in my solo stuff as well, like seeing like the kind of like, oh, I can write lyrics like this in this project with this person. Well, shit, I could do that. How could I make that more interesting in my solo stuff? So it's just really been a very transformative period for me, and it was even before the pandemic. I was really kind of held up in a cocoon, and then the
Yeah.
pandemic hit, and I just stayed in the cocoon because that's
Yeah, it didn't
you know
change. Yeah.
so I've been in a really like I'm a very different person than I was 3 years ago, and I
And
like
you
that.
like that. I was just, oh, that's so funny. We just said that right at the same
Yeah,
time. I was like, and you like that, right?
yeah, I do. I think
Yeah.
it's good to evolve.
It's good to evolve on many levels. That word gets thrown a lot around a lot right now, and of all the words that get thrown around, like woke and like this and like that, evolve is one that I love.
Mhm.
Evolve is I am behind that in any way, shape, or form, whether it's, you know, getting behind new ways of thinking or getting behind new ways of expressing your art. tell
Yeah.
me, tell me just a little bit about Jane Leo and your partner in that,
Yeah.
and how you guys got together and what it's all about.
Yeah. So the Leo of Jane Leo is Daniel of Leopold and Miss Fiction. And if you know Leopold and Miss Fiction, like a great rock band originally from Detroit and then San Francisco and then in Austin. But Daniel was the lead frontman of that band and had different members throughout the years. But he's toured the world and done so many things with that. And we met at a time where we both were just kind of running on empty for our projects.
Mm.
And we actually, I think, met through Black Fret. We had both
Nice.
been nominated, and we were at like one of the meetings on how you unlock your grant money, and we were like, oh, if you co-write a song you can unlock some money, so maybe we should co-write and do that, sure, and then I never called him back about co-writing, but I did call him to be in my music video as the bad guy. And
Nice.
yeah, and he said yes, which was very brave of him considering what he had to do in this video, which I'll leave that to people to discover on their own. But um anyways, he was the bad guy in my music video, and that was wild and hilarious. And then we actually then started writing and then dating, and here we are almost 4 years later. We just kind of both rediscovered ourselves as artists and as people, and both of our projects that existed before are definitely still in existence, and there's new songs for both of those things. But I think it's through, like, for him being able to write lyrics from a female perspective was really huge,
Oh yeah,
and have
I
someone like,
could dig it.
yeah, be like, have somebody that can do things that he couldn't see himself doing. Um, so yeah, it's we've worked on this for a while now, and like I said, pre-pandemic, we had already been holed up for a minute there. So um, yeah, that's how Jane Leo formed. And this year, this summer, we put out our first single, and then just a couple covers to you gotta bleed them out slowly because you spent so much time and money on
Don't I
everything.
know it? Don't
Yeah,
I know it? Yeah, the day of the album, it's so strange the way we have to put out music
I
to
know.
not kind of, blow your wad, so to speak, on just like one thing. A lot of people out there don't know that if you put out an album and you put it all out at once, you get like one shot for a single on Spotify, and that's it. There's
Yeah,
no chance of any of the other songs making it into the world of algorithms,
right.
and it's a huge pain in the ass, and it's kind of anti-creative. But I've personally found ways to work around that, to like create different projects and to do different things. And I think that's we just evolve,
Yeah,
again, using that
went
word,
back to that word. Yeah, yeah.
right? I want to ask two things, because two things you brought up sounded really interesting to me. One, is there a way that we could put tell me what the name of the song is, and I'm going to put the one that he plays the bad guy in the video. I want everybody here to go watch it, and the best way for me to do that without messing with the FCC rules is Jane Ellen Bryant video for
Attention.
attention.
Yeah, it's a wild ride. Just warning
Nice.
everybody.
All right, now if my friends are there, let's see. Danielle's watching. Thank you, Danielle, for always tuning in. Anybody wants to, you're more than welcome to put the YouTube link or whatever in the comments. People on this show are awesome about that. They'll just like pop on and go, "Here it is," and I
Yeah,
love them for that, because I can't do 18 things when I'm
yeah.
trying to do 5. So that's the first thing. Is I hope some people go and they check that out. The second thing is, when you mention writing through a female perspective, it's become like a huge thing with me, because I think that I had the benefit of a lot of the people that I played with over the years. Bam, Brady just did it. Thanks, Brady. There's the link. Um, uh, I played. Here comes a bunch of name drops, but I don't give a shit. So I'm playing with Ruthie Foster, and I'm playing with Susan Gibson, and I'm
Mm.
playing with Eliza Gilkison. all completely different forces of nature, great songwriters, great performers, totally different,
Yeah.
right? And then I go and I play with the Resentments and I get in that band and it is a freaking sausage fest. And I love it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, hey, like we're missing something. We're missing this energy. Like, can we bring it in every once in a while? Da 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 da. Well, this is what the Resentments is for. Da 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 da. It's not like the guys were ever anti it. It's
Right.
just like I'd have to bring it in because I started missing it, and
Yeah.
because over the years, I didn't write with Susan, and I didn't write with Eliza, and I didn't write with Ruthie at that time. Written just a little bit with Ruthie, but we never put anything out. Um, pardon me. You got to do it. Like, you are so missing out if you don't try and see through other people's eyes and you're just sitting there writing about you
Yeah.
all the time. And I
Totally.
highly recommend for the dudes, and I highly recommend for the ladies, and I highly recommend for however you identify. I'm not joking. I really mean that.
Yeah.
I highly recommend getting into that. And I remember writing a song once and somebody was like, hey, so you're writing that from a female perspective? And my go-to is kind of corny, but it works. It's like, I know, contrary to popular belief, John Prine was not an old woman named after his mother.
Right.
The first
Great.
line of that song,
Yeah.
one of the greatest songs you've ever heard in your life,
Yeah.
is a dude
Yeah. It's a great point.
speaking in a woman's perspective.
Yeah.
So get to it. You
Yeah.
got so much more to learn. I love that the two of you have kind of found that.
Yeah. And
But
even beyond like male or female, however you identify, like it's even like writing from someone with just a mental borderline personality disorder, or like
cool.
wherever you want to take it, you can take it,
Yeah.
and
Tell me you've done that.
have. Yeah.
Oh, I
And
want to know which one. You can tell me if you don't want to give away too much to the audience. You can just like tell me later, hey, go listen to this.
yeah, well,
Or if you
it's
feel,
not out yet, so
oh,
people
cool, cool,
have to
cool.
come see us play live. But eventually it will be out, and yeah, we also have a Patreon as well, so there's things that are released early there. But
Oh, for Jane Leo?
yes,
Look, I'm shameless and I really, really like to be able to help out friends and stuff like that. So it's patreon.com/.
Jane Leo Music, I believe is how you find it.
Let's make sure. And then it will at least be on screen and it will at least be, and we can say, hey, this is a good place to find out even more.
Yeah.
If does this look right on the screen? You see how high tech I am.
Yeah, looks good to me.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now, for those who don't know, a lot of us are going to Patreon because of a million reasons. Like, first of all, it helps pay the bills. Okay, big time.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a lot of money, but for us, but most of us, but it's a little bit and it's helpful.
And it
But
really
it
like
also helps us. Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, like, even like a little bit adds up so much. Like we're so
The
grateful. Like,
$3 people, the $5
oh my
people.
gosh. Yeah, just looking back, we've had it for about a year now and we hadn't taken any of the money out. And we were like so excited to be like, oh my gosh, we could actually pay for this thing that we
Yes.
didn't think we were gonna be able to do because this has been building up over time. And it just like it's so beyond helpful. And and also gives us like a creative outlet. Like we've been doing like cover songs exclusively on
Right.
Patreon and things that we wouldn't have done otherwise. So and as we start to release more music, we'll do it exclusively there first and just, anyways, yeah, it's a great thing.
I don't mind blowing it up, and I also don't mind. We'll do a follow back if you're into it. I love following back other artists because then basically it's just like it's a zero-sum game for me and the other artist. But then we get to like comment on each other's stuff
Totally.
and like kind
Yeah.
of get the algorithm going, and we're hearing each other's music. So I'm
Mhm.
out there and I'm following tons of people like Jamie and Betty
Same.
Sue and
Yeah.
Guy and all these people, and then like they're following, and so they're posting and they're hearing my stuff. But I
It's
love what you said also because the thing is, it's like really, really good because it's helping you get money for recording and stuff like that. It's also helping creatively because it's like you keeping the juices flowing. Like I've never been one that's great on the songwriter games, like where
hmm
you got to write a song a week. I
hmm
suck at that. I suck at it. I suck at it. I suck at it. And it's a weird pressure, but one a month that's like really, really well produced.
Yeah.
That gives me a chance to work with another artist. That gives me maybe to give them a little bread. Those kind of things I find really creative. And then the other thing that we can speak to is for the fan, it's direct. It's like me and the fan, no one in between.
Right.
Nobody else is messing with my creative part of it or my money part of it or their money. There's not 10 people in the row. It goes
No.
to us, and then we get to use it on music.
Yeah, it's really, really amazing. And I agree what you said about like supporting your other musician friends and then getting to support you. It's just like a really, it allows me to stay in touch with like Jamie and people that I love, and I feel like I'm on the inside scoop.
Yeah.
So
What are
it
some of the I'm sorry if I interrupt. Sometimes it's the thing. It's the
no, no,
thing.
no.
I'll blame it on that.
Yeah.
Not that I just talk too much. Who would be you'd be a host that talks too much. Anyway, it just happened. What are some of the kind of fun things that you guys have thrown in there? Like, has there been like a cover that you did that was just like, oh man, this one everybody loved, or was there like a incentive? Because sometimes too, you're like, well, we give music, or we send out a special whatever, or we
Yeah.
send birthday greetings, or we make a little video or whatever, like
We've
Cameo.
we've been doing kind of a lot of that. We did the birthday greetings. It's hard to
Oh,
like,
cool.
you know, it's a bit of a learning process as it was just getting started, because sometimes we like signed ourselves up that would take like, I don't think people realize how much time it takes
Oh
to
yeah.
make a legit cover recording. It would take us days and days and days. So
You don't want it to suck. You
yeah,
don't want it to suck.
yeah. And so after a while, it's like, well, maybe we can't do this every month, but every time that we can do it, we will, and we'll do it exclusively for y'all. And so we've been doing covers, and we did one thing that's kind of fun is we have these videos called Making Things. We took
Oh.
a little bit of a pause for when we started releasing music, but we're getting back into it really soon, where we do like a cooking show. And
See, I love
yeah,
this stuff.
yeah, and we just like make some of our favorite recipes or do like just dumb silly things like Daniel's daughter was in one time making a volcano, just
Uh,
fun stuff, just kind of give people an insight to like what our life might look like day to day that you would never see. We're not really big social media people in that way. Like we would share that on our profiles. We just kind of share the music and the shows and stuff like that. So through our Patreon, you kind of get a more like personal take on what's going on and what we're working on and all that.
that
That
sounds
sounds
pretty
pretty
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I just
Just
got a weird echo.
echo.
Out of nowhere, my voice started echoing. Brady, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to find where it says echo cancellation.
I'm watching
Brady,
that video.
ha, you made the poor dude wear a diaper? What that had that this what is this about?
I didn't. I said it was weird.
Oh, is that in the video?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. All right. Well, we'll find out about that later
Yeah.
when we all go check out the video for attention. Nice. Okay, so we got that. Now, our friend of the show and friend I know you know, Joanna Castillo,
Yes.
she wants to know what your favorite Prince song to cover is.
Hmm.
And that's a tough question because if you're a Prince head,
Yeah. I mean, the only one I've covered that she's, I'm sure, heard me cover is Kiss. And I need to pick a new one because that one, is just kind of like my go-to, or has been for gigs. But we've been on a big Prince kick at this house for the last couple months, and I don't know what my next take would be, but I started
think
laughing.
about that for a second.
Yeah,
Go on.
the 1999 album is like really transformative.
1999.
Yeah,
89's Taylor Swift.
right.
99 is Prince.
Yeah. But this is not on that album, but the song Controversy is
It's an incredible song.
such an
The
incredible,
entire thing.
the entire thing, but it's like 7 minutes long or something. But we have like, especially during the pandemic when Ava, Daniel's daughter, was here, like online school, having to sit behind a computer all day, we'd have like dance party breaks so that we could all get some movement in the house or whatever, and trying to introduce her to some of the classics. And so I picked controversy, and Daniel and we were all moving, and we're like, "Oh my god, this is a 7-minute song. We're gonna die."
Yeah,
You know,
you can't
this
do
is
this for the whole
yeah.
length.
But it's a jam, and it's like just I never get sick of listening to it every time I listen to it for 7 minutes. So I don't know. I have to, Joanna, to answer your question. I gotta find my next Prince cover, and there's too many good options. So
Well, and I think maybe your favorite right now is probably the one that you've done, which is Kiss.
yeah,
But yeah, you're never gonna be short on material
no,
with him.
mm-mm.
Never, ever, ever, ever. Although the two of you could pull off "You Got the Look" for like a fun thing. That could be a one Patreon one because
Hmm.
you got the Sheena Easton Prince thing. The two of you could pull that off, especially if you like did a twist on the music and didn't do it so like glam club. You
Right,
do your own thing with it that sounds a little bit more Jane Leo. I don't know how to describe Jane Leo, but after listening, it has a thing. You
yeah.
definitely are like, you guys definitely have like a vibe.
Thank you.
What would you call it? That's always the worst question, isn't
I
it?
know, but everyone asks it, and it's a good thing to think about. We've been
Yeah.
calling it kind of like alternative rock pop, but one.
You got to put that in. How do we put
uh,
alternative rock pop?
we want to start a new genre, which we're calling neon noir, where it's got this like bright flare to like a classic sound.
Okay, so that is freaking perfect. And don't you ever call it anything but that.
Okay,
It
great.
is so freaking hard for us to come up with names
Yeah,
for what we do. Okay, it's so freaking hard. The fact that you could go hashtag neon noir,
yeah, and
right? Okay,
we've tried to make that
done.
a thing, and like we've made a playlist called Neon Noir, and you kind of like get the
Oh, we got to share it then, and we'll trade those too.
okay, yeah,
Okay, so is that a Spotify playlist?
yeah, it's on our Jane Leo page on Spotify, our artist page. There's a uh, playlist that we've named Neon Noir, and we just put like things that are we try to update it pretty frequently of like things that we're listening to that have inspired us.
Right. I don't know if I could do this while we're online because it'll probably like make the whole computer system go
Yeah, no.
ah. But I'm gonna try and find it, and I'm gonna try to link to it in the comments because that's another thing. Like we could sit here and whine all day. Let's see if I can do this while I'm typing. There it is. Already followed.
Yay!
And then looking for the playlist. Oh man, you guys promo stuff looks amazing,
Thanks.
by the
We're
way.
doing the kind of just black and white mafia Hollywood thing, and it's fun. It's built this kind of character like an alter ego of myself. So it's
So much fun to have an
really,
alter ego, and why not? You know that I secretly use different names on different albums?
yeah.
Yeah, because I don't want like certain stuff. It's not that I'm embarrassed to be on it, it's just in a weird place. So like I have different names for different records that I'm on. There we
That's
go. Okay, so at least for yeah, and some of them are really funny because like I can get away with it. So
yeah.
like if I'm on like a Red Dirt album and I shouldn't use my name because of one or another, I use this name Colton Rainey because it sounds like a guy who plays on those kind of records. And
Totally.
also
Yeah.
if you spell it out, it's like Colton Rainey.
Yeah. I
And
love
then
that.
if I play on a jazz record, I just use one name and it's a Novak.
Mm. That's
And
cool.
then And then on the soul records, because I am a huge, gigantic Stevie Wonder fan, I just use Tommy Wisdom. I've used twice.
That's a good one. I like that the most.
Corny, but totally get away with it. And because my name is Jeff Plankenhorn, I want a new name so bad.
Why?
But it's just not gonna happen. It's just who I am and I'm stuck with it,
Oh, well, I think you're stuck with a great one. So, but I
I'm
like
not
the
sure
idea though of having these other outlets, like you've been doing it already. So it's very freeing to kind of, it's the same concept actually. Like I hit a wall in music, you hit a lot of walls, as I'm sure you have throughout your career.
Sure. You
Just like,
absolutely do.
I don't, I'm totally at a loss of what I'm supposed to do next or whatever it is. And you just need like a little bit of a step away. And 2 times to me that's happened. And both times I took an acting class just for the hell of it. And the ability in that creative space to become whatever character that you're portraying for that scene or whatever is so freeing and liberating. and it just made my creative juices like explode. Whereas when I'm coming forward as Jane Ellen Bryant and here are all my feelings, it's a lot harder to be creative
Totally.
and like not have any like, oh, what is my grandma gonna think, you know? So when
Yeah,
when
right,
I'm
right.
somebody else, like it doesn't matter because I'm that person. Then you can't judge that person because I'm this person. And not that you should be worried about those things, but like we're humans, so it's so hard not to. And um anyways, those characters in those classes really taught me like what I was capable of in ways that I hadn't seen as a solo artist, writing about all my heartbreaks and whatnot. So it just sort of was a taste of what I feel like I'm diving into now. Whereas like we write songs about that, I don't know, but it's not my feelings necessarily that day. You know,
Mhm.
it takes me to a different spot, and it's been nice. It's also been really hard because it's way easier to write um about my feelings because that's what I'm
It's
starting.
interesting. I think that's different for different artists. I think
Yeah.
some artists are kind of born with a natural instinct to tell stories about other people.
Mm,
I'm not.
I'm not
It
either.
was always really more easy for me at the beginning to have to create a story around it so people could put themselves into it because it was already too much me.
Hmm.
I had to get out of that fast because all I wrote about was me, the road, love, blah blah
Right.
blah. You're
Right.
tired of it. How many
Yeah.
times am I going to do that, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And getting into other characters. I mean, the first thing I would say is Bob Dylan is not Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is Robert Zimmerman. And like there is a. It doesn't mean that it's not him. It doesn't mean it's not like I feel more myself when I'm on stage than I do now, or when I'm like going into a coffee shop. Like that's where I'm awkward. I'm
Right.
very, very
Right.
comfortable on stage
Yeah.
because I've been able to, and just whatever, I'm just more comfortable there because I can let loose
Hmm.
and I can be myself. You know who I think is fantastic at what you're talking about? I think a lot of women pioneered this from like Madonna on, or even like Don't Laugh from Cher on,
Yeah.
like reinventing yourself. It may just be a look, it may be an outfit, but the music also changes
Too.
too. And
Yeah.
they were way better at it than men were.
Yeah.
And now we have people that we can look up to. Like, honestly, I am such a huge fan of St. Vincent.
Me too. I'm a huge fan.
I
Yeah.
am just, I got like, just think I'm guitar playing, arranging. It's a
Everything.
freaking show. The
Everything.
songwriting is amazing. There's stuff that I like more than others,
Yeah.
but
But
all of it I dig.
as you know, each album series, she completely reinvents herself.
Completely reinvents herself.
I actually got to meet her at this
Nice.
like at a recording academy event a couple years ago, and it was right when I was at this like wall of like I don't know what
Yeah.
the hell to do, and I got to see her in this tiny little setting at Hotel St. Cecilia or whatever, and she played her songs on the acoustic guitar 2 feet in front of me, and I nearly died. But afterwards, I think I asked her like, so do you? And I'm not going to phrase exactly how I
It's
asked it.
okay.
It was
Totally
something
interested anyway.
yeah, it was something like
Super
for
interested.
each album, are you like are you redoing like do you see that with the music? Like what comes first? Like for that the album before this one, you know, she had that very sleek, like everything
Yep.
fit with the music. So I was asking her like what comes first, the visuals or the music? And she was I think she said like, you know, for each project it all is different and it all kind of comes together. You can't really like separate it
Yeah.
from itself.
Like I'm gonna be Annie who wears latex and has these angular
Yeah.
guitars, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna be Annie who tells this story about my father getting out of jail, and
Mhm.
so I've got this whole other persona that informs these songs.
Yep. And I'm gonna be blonde and I'm gonna have these background singers and I'm gonna, you know, it's like a totally different
Yeah.
thing for each album and it's brilliant. And what's so brilliant about it is like how much the production and the songwriting seems to fit in with that from the get-go. And not many people can do that. Um
I
and
think it's like being fearless because it's like somebody has like taken the I don't give a shit button and
mhm,
just pressed it for that person, or
yeah,
they have pressed it for themselves,
yeah,
you know? And it's so great to see people doing stuff like that because it's like, oh, why not?
why not? Yeah.
Why not?
And that was something that I really admired about Daniel, the Leo of Jane Leo. In Leopold, he had kind of cycles for himself where like he would be this boxer character and he looked like kind of
Yeah.
insane, but his hair was like
Yeah.
slicked back and he was like super buff and he always had the suspenders on. And if you saw him out in public, you might think he was like literally a psycho, but it
You're like, I
worked.
don't really want to talk to that guy.
Yeah, he was like scary and he was this character. And then for the next series, he dyed his hair blonde. And it was like, whoa, who's that guy? You know, and he shaved his mustache and all of a sudden he was this blonde guy. And so, but he said that for him, you know, that really made him Leopold.
Yeah.
And that's not his actual name, but that made him that person for he lived and breathed it every day. And it was just like channeled in his on stage and in his personal life. So I had never publicly been able to strip away like the person that
The
you're saying.
Jane.
Yeah, the Jane. And but with this project, even though Jane is in the title, I'm really working to break down those walls and become this other version of myself. So and then this person always remains, and I'll always be able to write songs about my little feelings and be fine, you
Yeah,
know.
right, right. I think
Both
you also mentioned a really, really good thing too that I think any songwriter needs to realize. If you go see Annie Clark and she's playing St. Vincent songs solo acoustic, or she's doing that thing where she's got the piano player and just her on a vocal and all of her same songs. If your song holds up that way, it's probably a pretty damn good song.
Yep.
If you can just play, if you've got your massive production and it's great, that's fine. But if you can't just sit there and play it with an acoustic guitar, there's a good chance. I mean, maybe, or you can't figure out a way to do it. There's definitely exceptions to every rule. Controversy. I mean, who knows?
Right.
I'm sure Prince could sit and play Controversy with an acoustic. He was
But
very, very famous for doing that too.
Yeah.
He would sit down at a piano or a guitar and play all of his songs in just straight format, and you'd be like, "Holy shit!" I mean, it's Prince we're talking about here, you know, and it's St. Vincent we're talking about here,
Yeah.
Annie. But I find that stuff really fascinating, and I look up to it. Even if I just go out there and, you know, play my songs, the idea of it being a show, you know, I'm not like I'm going to change my outfit 3 times during a show kind of guy, but I'm still going to look to what they do as like,
It's
it's
all
a
about
show.
it's all about a mindset, you know, like the outfits are just they're extra. They help with the mindset.
They help.
They
Yeah.
help you get into character, the haircuts or whatever it is. But it's really the mindset of I am now channeling this. I am like you said, like you're the most comfortable on stage. I feel the same way. Like when I get on stage and whether it be for my solo stuff or for Jane Leo, I feel like an elevated version of myself. Not the person that walks into work or walks into a coffee shop or can't get whatever done. Like I feel like just this like
More me.
more me, you know. So and but
It's
all the extra stuff is helpful, but it's not necessarily necessary if you can tackle that mindset and show up, which you do all the time. You show up on stage and you're Plank, you
It could
know?
be a tool. It could be a tool. Hey, that's so nice of you to say. I'm humbled by that. But it's like, yeah, it's like a tool. It's like
Yeah.
a tool. Like if you want to use clothes to do it and that helps you get to it, good. Some
Yeah.
people, it's like, oh, I switched guitars. Some people,
Right.
it's like, okay, I can't tell you how many bands. Okay, I'm not into this right now. So you're going to have to, maybe you can hit me to it because I hate being the old fart who's like, I don't understand that thing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I don't understand and I want to. I don't understand itty bitty tiny keyboard in
Okay.
front of the band. You know what I mean? Like a big, you know, people who play keyboard, that's fine, but
Tiny little
one
thing.
note is like, and that's it. There's no other front. Like I'm like, I haven't been able to figure. It's not like as I don't think they can't play. It's not like it's like it doesn't feel like a show. Tell me somebody who does that, like
You're
because when you
saying
go
that
out, you got a keyboard.
well, are you saying like there's no other instruments on stage but this keyboard?
There's that, but that's the only front person. Like the front person is playing like a 32 note moog or whatever and kind of dancing next to it.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like,
I think you
okay.
got to come see Jane Leo because
Are you playing a little one?
well, I'm playing two. So I have a little one and I have a Nord.
That's different. I'm a
I know,
purist. I don't know
but
why
I'm
it's
saying
different.
if I could get away with just having the little one, and I might at some point, with our songs. Like if I could figure out how I don't need that big thing and I could just have this little Juno that I have that makes incredible.
Junos are incredible.
They're incredible, but
Junos are insane.
it's tiny. Like I can't. This mirror thing is freaking me out. But
That's okay.
it's tiny. It's like a very small keyboard with I don't know how many keys, but it's so small. But the sounds that come out of this thing are so cool, and you can do
Yeah.
RP, you can do all these different things. And
I mean, that's the original like badass synth.
but
That was like portable that you could move and play
sure,
at shows.
yeah. But the if I do have a Nord underneath it right now, so I got two keyboards. But if I didn't have the Nord and was just able to have that Juno, I would love it because if it were just me on stage and there was no other instruments, that would be weird. And I just had tracks or something and myself with a little thing that might be a little like
that's the part that weirds me out. Like I think, and maybe we just cracked a little code for you that'll be like really, really fun. Is like who knows? Maybe we just like tapped into it. It's like you were like, oh no, I love the what do you call it? Monophonic Juno, and it becomes like this lead instrument that just plays these little hooks.
yeah. Well, that's why I'm playing just little riffs, and then the rest of the I don't know. We've gone more towards that modern track kind of thing, which we never thought either of us would ever do. But we're still playing a lot, but it's allowed me as a performer to just completely let loose and to not have to like have a huge band at all times. We do have the option to have a big band, but like we're able to do way more and afford way more that way. But
that's practical.
Yeah, but most importantly though, I think it's about like being free and being able to like run around and do things that
you want to be a hype man.
Yeah.
You want to be like a hype woman, a hype person who's just like getting everybody into it.
Oh,
that's exciting to see, Jane, because I have not seen that side.
I haven't seen that side of me, but if you go, you can go to our Jane Leo Instagram, and I have a highlight of
I've been following that.
Yeah, if you go to
there's a highlight reel.
There's a highlight reel of like live, and you'll see like it's progressed. Like every show that we've played, I think that I've become more free, and it's kind of documented in like stories and stuff people have captured, especially in this last show that we did at the Mohawk. Like watching it back, I was like, I can't believe that's me.
Yeah, that's a cool feeling, isn't
it?
It
was just like
that's awesome.
It was so freaking fun, and it was so punk rock, and it was just like I was just moving, and when I am behind, and on that song, I decided not to play anything because I had the opportunity to move, and I didn't have to worry like, okay, by the second verse, I got to get back for this, or the chorus, I got to make sure it's on this setting and that the tempo's right or whatever. I wasn't thinking about any of that. So I was just, I was on another planet, but it was so fun. So there are a lot of aspects like, ACL and things these days, you see videos back of people performing and you're like, it's literally a DJ or it's literally like a computer and a girl dancing around. And it's really hard to sell sometimes.
Sure.
I think
sometimes that's entertaining enough. Sometimes if the person is larger than life, the vibe can work.
Exactly.
Right?
The person selling it and the music speaks for itself, like you said about St. Vincent. If the song is good enough, then it can come out of a freaking computer and I'll like it.
Yeah, that gal can go out with just a guitar and fill a stadium, and we are entertained.
Yeah, and but she could be standing there singing it like the recording, and I'd probably be entertained.
Yeah,
so,
too. She's a sing the phone book kind of cat and play. I love her guitar playing so much.
Yeah, I do too. She's like she's just like a different beast. But I don't know. Music is weird right now. There's a lot of stuff happening that I don't understand. A lot of it I don't understand. But I do understand a little keyboard if it's done right.
I want to be challenged by that, and so that's kind of the thing, because like anytime I get to a point where I feel like it's like I joke with Matt the electrician, it's the get off my lawn you kid thing. Mm-hmm. It's like I've become the older cat now. I was always the younger cat. Everybody I played with was 10 years older than me, and I was the young one.
Right.
And so now I'm older and whatever, and the last thing I want is to not be open. And so I like have to kind of like catch myself and go, well, wait a second, find something that's like that you like, because it is everywhere,
Well, there's gotta be. Do you know the artist Noga Erez?
No, but I'm gonna write it down right now. Thank you, Noga, and I'm gonna put it in the
Noga.
chat too.
She's an Israeli artist.
Noga Erez, is it just like it sounds? Noga.
Nogaerez, I
Okay,
believe.
that's gonna go in the chat as well, so all of us, not just me, can go look that up. I
Yeah,
love that. I'll put it on my listen list.
she she is incredible, and I just saw her perform with two guys who are both on drum pads only on opposite sides of the stage, and she's in the middle, and she's kind of like an R&B hip hop. I don't even know how you would describe her music, but
That's
it's
always the best. It's
it's
always the best when you like. I don't
yeah,
exactly know how to describe it,
yeah.
but I love it.
Oh my gosh, and you have to go watch some of her live, like, in studio things that they do. Like, just
Yeah,
YouTube Noga Erez, and you'll see these things pop up, and you're like, "Oh my god!" 'Cause sometimes they get full bands in, and they make, like, acoustic versions of these, like,
yeah.
really digital songs, and it's mind-blowing, and they actually just released an acoustic version of the entire album that's, like,
Oh, I
originally
love it when
go
people
hip
do
hop, and
that.
they made, like, a with and there's a bunch of, like, random horns, and there's kids singing on it, and there's just like all this stuff that's so creative and unexpected, especially when you know how the album originally sounded. They basically just recorded a whole other version of it. And anyways, she's an artist that, like, she's doing the modern thing, but she's doing it in such a new and inspiring way that I'm like not at all, because I'm kind of an asshole when I go to shows. I'm really judgmental, and like I'm not fun to take to shows most of the time. But when I
Oh, my wife doesn't want me to go to shows
yeah,
unless I promise to zip it.
yeah, I'm just
You
admitting that.
know.
Like, it's different when
Yeah.
I'm supporting friends and stuff I love. I'm all in, but sometimes I can be like really judgmental. Like, how are they doing that? What is this happening? What are they playing here? Well, how does that? I'm I'm not the best,
It's your
but
creative side. You know, to be fair, it's your creative side going, well, I know what I would do there.
right. And
Or and
we
that's
just the
cool.
ego
Nothing wrong with
talks.
that.
It's not necessarily. It's probably a lot of my bad, but on her show, I was blown away by just
I
her
can't wait.
moving, and she's like rapping and singing and all they say. It was just really, really good. So she's somebody that I think you should check out, even if it's like you would never normally listen to that kind of music. Like, you can't
I probably
help but
would. I listen to,
yeah. I mean, I
I
know you
love,
listen to a
especially
wide
I grew up
variety.
on hip hop. I grew
Yeah.
up on hip hop and I love women who rock.
Well,
So
you
it's
would like
easy for
her, and
me.
she's a good example of someone who's like doing the modern thing, but doing it in a way that I can appreciate.
This is one of the reasons that number one, I enjoy having friends like you. And this is also one of the reasons why I dig having this little show is because I get hip to stuff and I get to help people get hip to stuff that I wouldn't know about. I get to put it on a listen list. I get to tell other people about it. We get to
Mhm.
spread the word. They get to find out about your music, but they also get to find out about stuff they never would have heard of. It's the
Totally.
coolest thing, and I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so before I mean it, I'm so glad you were able to do this today, and I'm
Thank you
really
so much.
excited
I
about
mean it that I'm so
everything
grateful
that
to
you're
be here.
doing.
Oh, thank you.
Everything
This
that
is
you're
really
doing, I'm
fun.
so proud of you because from the first, I'm like, well, I was there when you were first starting to do some songs, and so I'll shut up about that. But you're kicking ass. Uh, so I only have one question I ask every week, and we're about to go off on the television station. So thank you to Austin Music TV. Thank you to AustinCityJams.com. You guys, I'm on for all of these shows. They're going to be moving to Patreon, but I'm going to be doing rebroadcasts on the television show. So if you want to support the show, that's how you do it. Jane and I are splitting tips today. All I want to do is make sure that her and wait, did you say Daniel? Right, Daniel is Leo.
Mhm.
Just like a good takeout meal or something like that. This is all you need to do. Your $5, your $10, whatever helps. Um, Kate Howard says it's so entertaining to listen to the two of you
Hi,
talk.
Kate.
Seriously, I love that.
I haven't seen
Casey
Kate in so.
Crowley. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I said hi, Kate. I haven't seen you in so long.
Perfect. Casey Crowley says just hosted an international music showcase last night. People from India, Spain, Russia, and Pakistan, all performing in their native tongues. Yeah, so I can dig that. When you go around the world, America is so we are so sort of landlocked with our brains,
Totally.
or isolationist.
Yeah.
It is just not a problem to hear world music in another language here in Canada. I mean, French is obvious, but it's just not a song can make it that's not in English, and it's very
Right.
rare for us.
Yeah.
It's got to be like K-pop or something before we're gonna Gangnam Style before we have some weird outlier that's
Right.
And we need that. And I'm telling you, you get so inspired when you hear music from around the world. So thanks for
So true. Yeah.
for saying that.
Yeah.
You hear stuff and you're like, oh my God, what are they doing?
Right.
You know,
So good
um,
to get out of our heads.
so freaking good to get out of our heads. The one question I love to ask my guest every week that's like the Jeff question is this.
Mhm.
Early on in the show, everybody found out that when I was a little kid, my mom was playing music for me, like before I went to bed. She would play like Stevie Wonder and she'd play like classical music, and that definitely like made me kind of dig what I dig. But she would
Mhm.
slip in a Barry Manilow record.
Hmm.
And so I have this strange affinity soft spot, and I'm like a secret fanalow. And it's like not embarrassing at all, and I don't give a shit. And I hear "Can't Smile Without You," and I get a warm, fuzzy feeling. I don't
Yeah.
give a crap. Or I hear one of those songs, or Copacabana. So I love hearing what people's. Uh, you can either call it a guilty pleasure, or you can say just something absolutely left field that people wouldn't know that you were necessarily into. It's tough for you because everybody knows that you have a pretty broad taste, but
Yeah.
because it shows with your music. But is there something like nobody would know that you were totally into that, but it's something that you love?
You mean right now or like when I was first influenced by music?
Either way.
Either way.
Or anything that like, because if it's like, I've had really, really great songwriter come on here and say, I love the Spice Girls. And I'm
Yeah.
like, all right,
Yeah. I
okay.
mean, I'm a product of the 90s, so the Spice Girls, I went and saw live in concert. So
Yeah.
I saw Backstreet Boys, you know. Um,
Okay. So a little bit of the, what do you call them? I guess you call them boy bands, but you just say pop super
Pops.
group is
Yeah,
not
you
scary to
know,
you.
but the thing that pops out in my mind, because it was all of that popular music of my era or whatever that was definitely like influenced. Like Dixie Chicks were huge, Shania
Yeah.
Twain. I listened to all that like really pop melodies, but I also was obsessed with the Sean Colvin, like the Sunny Came Home record.
Oh, that's an incredible record.
What was that record called? I'm blanking, but I used to like
Hardly.
play that on repeat. Cheryl
Yeah.
Crow was a huge influence. Like my parents would listen to her all the time, and her early stuff was just so rock and roll and cool.
Yeah.
And my dad always played a lot of like classic rock stuff. Um, I would say though now I'm like listening to stuff that like the Stooges and Iggy Pop and stuff that I
Nice.
wish I had listened
Now
to
the
earlier.
Stooges I wouldn't have picked, and I love
Yeah.
that for you.
Yeah, it's really like I'm learning a lot right now of like music. Like, why didn't I listen to this? Like, why didn't I listen to
Yeah.
Nina Simone? Why didn't I listen to like
Uh,
so many things I wish I had?
yeah.
But I was a
Have you
seventh
listened to much
grader.
MC5? Have you listened much to
I haven't.
MC5 yet?
There's so much. There's so
That's
much.
in your world. That's a
Okay.
good one. I'm
Yeah.
gonna just impart a little bit of MC5 and kick out the jams and stuff like
Yeah.
that for you. Because if
But
you're into the Stooges, you'll probably really dig it.
I'm sure I have so much to learn, and I'm excited about that. There's never ending amount. But as a seventh grader at a Baptist school, I was obsessed with "Highway to Hell" by AC/DC. So
Oh, because it was the bad thing.
that was pretty punk rock of me at the time.
Yeah.
So I remember like rocking out to the Back in Black album in my room alone, jumping on the bed, thinking that it was the coolest thing I'd ever heard. And it was just absolutely none of my friends listened to it. Nobody like, at all. It was not popular to like that, but it was like it really spoke to me at the time. So, but like I said, there's just so much that I was not aware of and I'm still not aware of. So that's cool. But
Isn't it cool? Like we're never gonna get it. Like I'll
yeah.
be on stage with the Resentments with Miles Zuniga, and he'll
Mhm.
play a song, and I go, "Oh, that's cool. What's that?" And he'll look at me like I'm the biggest asshole for not knowing. And
Right.
he's like, "What rock did you come out from under that you don't
Right.
know this David Bowie song?" And I'm like,
Right. Uh,
"Dude, he's got
that's
like
another- yeah,
80
yeah.
albums.
But that's another one.
I
Bowie.
love Bowie."
I've been diving into him harder than I ever did. It's just like there. I wish so much. I wish I could go back and be like, if I had heard this at age 12, this would have been revolutionary.
Mhm.
So
Still
it's better
can be.
better late than ever. So
Yeah, I feel that way too. And what I tell him is, I'm like, fine, man. Like, you don't know the obscure P Funk track that I know inside and
right.
out. It's just the
Yeah.
way it is, man. It's
Yeah.
like we just picked
Yeah.
different things and we lived in different places. And it doesn't mean I don't want to know it. And the thing
Yeah.
that I told him was, this is a really cool song. What is this? It
Yeah.
wasn't like, this is a piece of crap. Why are you playing it?
Right.
It's like,
Right. Yeah.
but I find that I don't ever want to lose that. It keeps us young at heart.
we're going back to the evolve word of the day. We have to evolve and listen to things we didn't know we
that
love.
weren't necessarily in our wheelhouse. Hey, since
Yeah.
we are off of the television now, we can do as many calls to action as I want. So
Okay.
I already mentioned the tips, and thank you for that, you guys. But this is the thing. I really, really, really want you to. If anybody, you want to get Jane booked for a show or something like that, here is the info. When Betty Sue was on, I was kind of voguing around it. It's better. But that's how you find out open for business, as we said. Okay, and so you can go back, you can find that there. Also, Jane Leo as like the big project, big thing you're working on. Any shows coming up booked yet?
Yeah, we're playing at Hotel Vegas on Tuesday,
Okay,
a week from
this
today.
Tuesday.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
today's
perfect.
yeah, so a week from
Hotel
today. At like I believe 9, and we're just playing as a duo, but we're gonna do our full rock out show, and then we don't have anything on the books as of yet after that, but
I mean, honestly, it's the way things are right now. We're all just trying to figure it out. There's so much going on but somebody might watch this show and go, "Oh, they don't have anything booked. I'm going to book them."
yeah, you never know.
That's the hope. That is
Yeah,
sincerely the hope. Jane, I'm so happy not just to have seen you and gotten to hang out for an hour, but that you're doing well and that you're in something that you really, really dig
thank you.
creatively.
It's been so good to catch up with you and hear that things are going good. I'm so glad you've been doing this. This has brightened my day, and I'm sure it has for weeks for so many people. So that's awesome.
Thank you, dear. All right, you stay on with me. Everybody, we're going to say goodbye. Next week will be Lisa Morales. After that, I'm going to do a week by myself. And then you all got to move to Patreon because that's where it's going. And
Yeah,
I'm also going to move to a later spot so that we can get a lot more audience during the pandemic and during the lockdown. It was great having this spot, but I think it's time we step it up. Next week will be the same. 2 more weeks like this, then we're moving to Patreon. Jane, thank you so much.
thank you.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.